Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Brian Jennings here, the critical sorcerer, the psychic scientist, the millennial dragon, the horse's ass. Right? This channel exists to discuss with the world at large the story of the movie Critic. Right? This channel exists to discuss my relationship with Quentin Tarantino and the movie Critic. I am the reason that Quentin canceled the movie Critic. And so we're here now discussing it in the open air, plein air painting, right? In the light of day, because it's degenerated into a really ugly, evil condition. I don't want to go on and on about it. What I'll say is that we have a formula. I really appreciate everyone who's been subscribing. I think I'll be at 500 probably by tomorrow morning, thereabouts. Seems like the trains are all in. As long as I keep making the videos and promoting them, and people will keep not spending vulgar amounts of money, just what's available to me. That people will keep subscribing, and it means a lot to me. It does. It's not lost on me. And I know a lot of people, they're not vested. They're not actually vested emotionally, spiritually, in the way that me and Quentin are in this thing. What I'll say is that I've never felt more bifurcated, more divided than now. Right? I haven't been hounding the Burbank International Film Festival like I should, right? Because they're trying to lift this guy up, and I suspect there is a camp in that body, right? Anna McNiven and everyone who, right? That's sincerely asking themselves, is there any validity in what this guy is saying, right? Are we gratifying someone who we should be vilifying? Right? Are we lifting someone up who is, in fact, demonstrably evil? Only you can answer that for yourselves. Right? But my point is that every night is really difficult for me. And we're going to pick back up with the novel, and I found the page, and we're only maybe 40 pages from the end, so it's barreling towards completion. And the writing is really excellent, right? That I'm telling a story, and it's all there, And we'll touch more on that in a second. But right, every single night that I'm at this house, right? And I don't know why the sun gives me some sort of peace of mind. It's not like someone can't shoot through a window during the day, but when my dogs are inside, the evil hours hover over this house. We're all and this is true for me. At his house, right? That we're both just kind of hovering over and within each other in a really ugly, right, palpably measurable sort of way, right? And my mother and all of my family, of course, they're completely oblivious, and I'm envious, And so now is when the therapist, right? Now is when this skeptic says, "Oh, why do you have to live this way? Why do you have to constantly assume that he's going to send people to murder you?" And so the easiest answer is that I don't. I acknowledge that. There it is. But we, the two of us, right? The seven of us, the six of us, we have this hive mind now that we're all kind of swimming in the deep ocean of our minds together. right? And so, right? Truthfully, they tell me, oh, I can't be evil to you. I can't torture you. I can't send people to kill you, right? But these are the same tactics, right? And this is my point, right? That these are the same tactics, right? That let me believe that Quentin had an adult daughter who loves me, right? These are the same tactics that told me, oh, I want you to question me about cinema speculation at Tribeca. It's all the same. We're all under the same umbrella, right? And so since I can't trust, there's no trust, right? And this is, right, that's a part of his design. He's not smart enough to have layered it so sophisticated, right? But and there's nothing I can do about it. I acknowledge that. There's nothing stopping him from calling some Hollywood fixer, right? And it's really difficult. It's really difficult until I look someone in the eye. Until, right, I see everyone involved, right, eye to eye, person to person, and they say, your life is more valuable than profits. Your life is more valuable than Quentin's chic predilections. I'll always have that fear because he didn't get what he wanted. Didn't get what he wanted in June, right? When I didn't bark like a dog, like a show pony, right? And he hasn't gotten what he wanted now. Me blowing my brains out. And so now that's, right, like again, right, there's a community, right, that we all exist in all of our minds, right, that there's like 5 or 6 people, right, at least 2 beautiful women, right, I suspect there's 4, in truth. Quentin, Daniela, badass cinema, maybe a guy, maybe no guy, maybe it's all him. Young guy, my age. Right? But there's nothing I can do about that. I can't. Right? And this brings me to my next point, which was the letter. That I wrote this letter. And I'm going to know the letters. I'll backtrack a little bit and say that play that you just heard the first lines from, right? Measure for Measure. If you're interested in hearing a wonderful version of it, it's on archive.org, right? And so that's with Ralph Richardson as the Duke and John Gielgud as Angelo, right? And so that's the only one I've ever listened to. It's really choice, right? John Gielgud's my favorite Hamlet. He's the ultimate wonderful actor, right? But I've written so many letters. I've written, it's abrasive how much I've written William Morris Endeavor. And I suspect that there are people who are really torn now, right? I suspect that Mike Simpson and Ari Emanuel are both like that we should never have let this go on this long, right? Because I was really nice and reasonable in the beginning. And they indulged Quentin. And now I'm right there, seared into their psyches. Right? It's over. It's over. I don't care what they say. But now they're at a crossroads. Right? They could pay me $3 billion, right? $15 billion. Right, and so what is that? That's Sony, right? They're worth several billion, right? WME, they're worth about 80 billion, right? Sony Pictures, I guess, well, that's fine. We'll consider those together, right? Man, they could pay all that money, right? But everything that I said in my previous video is true. that if there's no true reconciliation, that if we just live in this sick, diseased way, I have no choice. I have no choice. He's done so much awful shit to me, right? That you could pay me a bunch of money and I'll take everything down. I'm listening. Right? But, right? You want to not put him in front of me? You want to not put them in front of me? Is that? Oh, so that's... Okay, so you want to... Okay, there's all the dollars. No. Right? You want to pay me all this money, right? I'm going to take a piece of it. And somebody's going to watch all of you forever. Forever. Just like he has people watching me. That's like, so it's all the same, right? Same. Right? I'm not about to get subjected to perpetual remote viewing observation, right? Perpetual fear, right? That someone's going to torture me with black magic evil and not put everyone involved in a similar situation because it's easy to be evil. And so in that way, I got something at the library. Went to the library today. What was that? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The novelization. I've never read the whole thing, nor will I, but I've read some of it. And we're going to talk about that. Right? What have I been saying this entire time? What exactly is this channel about? It's about the fact that all instances of psychic clairvoyance, of remote viewing, of thaumaturgy, is the mind of the adept tapping into the non-locality of the conscious field, which permeates every cubic centimeter of space, evenly distributed in terms of volumetric pressure, and exists perpetually in a state of rest. Right? Quentin Tarantino is a powerful psychic clairvoyant who remote views people, right? And directs with his mind. This is why I didn't want to write them, right? And the reason I haven't put it in the mail yet, what I'll say about that, right, is that I have to find a jump drive. I'm not about to just send a letter, no half measures, and it's bullshit. I don't need to write them. I've written them 1,000 fucking times. Right? Quentin likes to direct people with his mind, right? And I've been on the business end, right, of his psychic aggression since last June. This is the book that he wrote. This is a novelization of the script, right, that he directed and went on to get nominated for 10 Oscars for, pardon me. Right? This is the script where he appropriated Brad Pitt's spousal abuse, right? And helped him win an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for beating up his wife on an airplane. What have I said on this channel 1,000 times over? Right? Quentin Tarantino is a powerful psychic clairvoyant. Quentin Tarantino remote views people, right? Quentin Tarantino lets the women in his life fuck men while he remote views through their eyes. And they close their eyes while they're getting fucked by other men and says, yeah, I'm fucking you. Yeah, you're fucking me. You're not fucking them. Right? Quentin Tarantino sucks feet because he's a base, degenerate asshole. And before I start reading from this book, from his book, right, what I'll say is that I was discussing Joseph Campbell on my previous video. Right? About how everything is doubling back, right? That all the chakras, right? They're psychological notions in the mind of man, right? And Quentin sucks feet because he's base. He thinks down here, right? That's unequivocal. There's nothing else to consider there, right? So, if you've seen the movie There's Cliff Booth, right? Right? Like Cliff Booth who kills his wife, right? Because Brad Pitt beat up his wife, right? It's the same story, right? But then there's also, right, and there's Rick Dalton too, right? That's Rick Dalton should have won the Oscar, right? That's, right? Like, oh, you want to play the show business game? Like, that's better. That's better. You give the trophy to the guy for beating up his wife? Is that supposed to be high magic? Help me see that. Because everyone in show business understood like what that plot was. Right? And you all, right? This is Quentin's evil, right? And so my point, right, before I start reading on his novel, is that I wrote in the letter that I have yet to send to them, but I will, that Quentin is the Antichrist, that they represent the Antichrist. And I've been thinking about that a lot today. I've been thinking about what is the Antichrist? And I gotta say, he kind of checks all the boxes, doesn't he? Right? That he's a popular, powerful figure in the world, right? That he has all this money and this beautiful wife and this beautiful family, right? And he is very charming, and he glorifies violence and makes the public believe that violence is cool through his movies. That's like the definition of the Antichrist. Right? So William Morris Endeavor, right? And I don't care, it's none of my fucking business. Right? I live close to God, even if no one else does, that goes to the movies. There's a reason I reached out to him. Right? And so my point, right, so the last point that I'll make, right, is that my anxiety stems from first me trusting him because I appreciated the aesthetic of his films, right? And now, right, is rooted in the certainty that I can't trust anything that they tell me on the psychic landscape. And he's laughing his ass off going, ha, 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 ha. Anyone who's into the same shit that he's into, right? Anyone who casts their allegiances with him around the magic circle, right? Around the heptagram, around the pentagram, right? That you're now co-leagued with high evil. That's it. There's nothing else to consider there. And how do I know that? Here it is, right? Quentin Tarantino is a powerful psychic clairvoyant. He pushes his thoughts and his soul into the minds of anyone that he seeks to occupy, primarily the actors and actresses in his films, right? But anyone, right? He's got a bunch of old tintypes, daguerreotypes, and he time travels in his mind, right? All instances of clairvoyance is the mind of the adept tapping into the non-local resonance of the conscious field, which exists perpetually in a state of rest in all of space, right? So, what do we know about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I lost track for a second. But Deborah Joe and Manson, right? They're the other piece of it, right? Manson, right? So what I'm saying is that Quentin gives Charles Manson, right, the power that he exerts in his mind. And objectivity demands that I say, gosh, well, I don't know. Like maybe Manson really is there, like in the yard, and it's just like clever literary mixed signals. No. Brad Pitt is Cliff Booth. Charles Manson is Quentin Tarantino. That's it. There's nothing else to consider there. So, here it is, page 87. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the novelization. Deborah Jo, knees visibly shaking, slowly approaches the Hirschberg house. She crosses the dew-covered front lawn. She feels the wetness of the grass against the soles of her huge bare feet. And the slight chill is invigorating. When she steps off the lawn onto the concrete pathway that leads toward the backyard gate, she leaves a trail of wet footprints behind her. She reaches her hand over the wooden gate and, quietly as she can, lifts the rusty metal hinge on the other side, pushes the door open, and enters the backyard. Her friends watching from the sidewalk slowly disappear from view. Now, Pussycat is by herself on the Hirschberg's private property. She scans the surroundings. There's a kidney-shaped pool, green grass, a big tree, a couple of picnic tables, and a couple of heavily played with children's big wheels. But other than the big wheels, the backyard is as nice and neat and manicured as the front of the house. Then the voice of Charlie whispers in her ear, "How's your heart?" in italics. All of Charlie's dialogue is in italics. She quietly answers the voice in her head out loud, beating like a jackhammer. "Calm it down, pussycat," he purrs. "Them jungle drums will wake up the whole damn block. Get a hold of it," he instructs, "and get a hold of yourself. Take in your surroundings." She examines the backyard with a touch more thoughtfulness, her rapid heartbeat ever so slightly decreasing. "Who lives there?" he asks her. "I don't know. The Hirschbergs, I guess. Not their names," he whispers sharply. "Who are they? Do they have kids? Do you see toys?" She looks at the big wheels and nods her head yes. "A lot of toys?" he asks. "A swing set?" "No," she answers. "Just a couple of big wheels." "What does that tell you?" "I don't know. What should it tell me?" "Hey, pretty girl," he gently scolds her. "I'm the one talking in question marks. You're the one answering in periods. Got it?" She nods her head yes. They either have kids or they know kids, Charlie figures. Like maybe grandma and grandpa? "We'll answer that question later. Are they rich?" She nods her head yes. "How do you know?" Charlie challenges. "They live here, don't they?" She says somewhat sarcastically. "Not so fast, pussycat," Charlie warns. "Don't judge a book by its cover, little darling." They could be renters. They could be 4 stewardesses or cocktail waitresses living together, pooling the rent. Then he suddenly asks, "Do they have a pool?" "Yes," she says. "Touch the water." Pussycat creeps across the grass, covering most of the backyard, over to the swimming pool, and then dips her fingers in the water. Once her hand feels the wetness, the voice inside her head asks, "Is it warm?" She nods her head, yes. "Then they're rich," Charlie explains. "Only rich people can afford to heat their pool all the time." And that's good enough to stop right there, right? I'm not interested in supporting Quentin Tarantino's writing. The last line, right? The voice inside her head asks, "Is it warm?" Right? All in italics, right? "Oh, gosh, like it's like a literary device. Like, Like, no, Quentin's a remote viewing telepath. And he put it in his fucking novel. Just like he put that Brad Pitt's a fucking wife beater in his movie and his novel. Right? Is he the Antichrist? Is he not? Gosh, like, I don't know. Oh no, it's all so confusing. Burbank International Film Festival board, like, what do I do? He's a degenerate. Give him the trophy. Take your fucking shoes off. My point is that he could have paid me nothing. We wouldn't be here right now. And he thought that he was fucking clever, right? And I'm beginning to suspect more and more that the people around him were like, "No, your fucked up mind games are your problem. This is a nice guy. You need to give him a chance." And he said, No, he doesn't suck my ass. He doesn't eat my psychic asshole. No, I don't care that he was going to spend 200 hours building a porch planter. That's the coolest fucking thing any actor ever gave him, ever. Because I felt bad, right? On the crudest levels, I still feel bad. But I don't really feel bad anymore. He's put me through so much, right? And I took everything down and said, "No, we're good, right? I'm not fucking with you anymore, and I don't know why we're still playing this game now." That's a certainty with me right now. No bullshit. Magic's done in the light. Right? I could talk to you about like everything that's occurring, right? But why he hasn't paid me or why we haven't reconciled is a mystery to me. I don't understand that. Right? Right? And so everything that I put, everything, like, again, right, he's a horse's ass. He doesn't understand how to destroy people with his mind. Now he does, because I know what time it is. Right? And so, right, that's why we're talking about it. Because everything that he stole from my mind, I can do to him, but he's a fucking pussy and a coward, and he'll send people to murder me if I put that fucking evil on him. And I don't want to do that. I have ethics. I have standards. So, we're talking about it, right? Quentin is a psychic clairvoyant, just like Charles Manson in his book, right? I've written a novel about our experiences. He's been trying to compel me to blow my brains out for over a year now, and he's failed. So, right? I'm not going to spend a lot of time because we've already been going for a while, but then again, I don't give a fuck, so maybe we will.